we could probably start the presentation, and it will be by the president of Lake Winn, an old friend of mine, Pat Power. And Pat's certainly had lots of experience in this industry, lots of experience of raising money. So I'm sure given a little bit of success at the beginning here for Lake Winn, Pat will be able to raise the money to drive this company forward and into the success category. Maybe now we could switch to Pat.
Yes. Like Dave said, my name is Patrick Power. I'm the president and CEO of Lake Winn Resources. And I want to give you a little bit of a presentation on what we're up to right now. Lake Winn is an old shell that Buddy and I had that we rolled back 10-for-1. So structurally right now there's 9.4 million shares out. And we had planned for the last 2 years to put a gold project into it. And how we came upon this project is a fairly old relationship that I have with Bill Ferreira, who's a prospector out of Manitoba. And Bill and I and Buddy and Dave go back a long way. We started Western Potash in 2007 together. So this is the next offering past that. And a little bit about the property. We wanted to stay in Canada at a good jurisdiction, and we wanted to have, Buddy and I are used to working in the middle of nowhere where the infrastructure is a bit of a challenge at all times. So we really wanted to have a infrastructure positive in this sense. So Bill has had this property as a prospect for the last 22 years. A fair bit of work has been done over the past by 3 groups in particular. One of them is SO Minerals, back about 20 years ago. One of them is a group of prospectors about 15 years ago. And most currently was Cream Minerals, which Bill optioned off, I believe, in 2009. They did some IP, which we're very interested in, and some resistivity, which has given us a really, we think, an understanding of what's going on in the area. A lot of trenching is being done, and there's an outcrop that runs pretty well the entire 1.7 kilometers of the IP anomaly, which has never been drilled. And it has produced results up to 4.5 ounces in chip samples and grab samples and pits. So there's a lot of smoke, a lot of really interesting quartz silica. So it's very resistive, and Buddy believes that's where we're going to be drilling. So things that have happened, here we are. We're just northeast of Flin Flon. So we're in a mining camp, which is fantastic. There are no native issues in this part of Manitoba, so that's a big plus. So permitting will be easy, and we're in the process of that right now. We're on a major highway and a major logging road within 50 meters of the property. So a lot of our drill setups will be on that logging road. So very easy flatbed to drill down from Flin Flon. Being Flin Flon, we're getting our drills from there. We're getting all our equipment. We're getting a lot of the manpower in a camp that's used to mining for many, many years. So that's a real positive. It's one of the things that we attracted us to this property. And the other thing is there's a fair bit of mines in the area. Snow Lake is just northeast of this. It's about a 2.5 million ounce deposit. So we're back here, and Snow Lake is just down the road here. We've just completed a financing. It's in the exchange for approval, $2.75 million. That will cover off the first program, which Buddy wants to do a little bit of trenching and then drilling. So we expect to be drilling before Christmas in the area. And this slide here just kind of shows you've got the highway running through right here, and then you have this logging road, which our outcrop is basically on. These samples, the yellow were taken by Bill Ferreira. And this red pit was a prospector's pit right here. Some of those samples in that pit, like numerous samples, are over 2 ounces. So there's a lot of smoke here. Buddy, it's dipping from the south up to the north. Buddy's on the ground right now. He's actually permitting the holes right now. He's out there with his GPS, getting ready to get going here. So it's a very simple project. There's drill holes all around, but none of them on this IP anomaly and none of them on the resistivity, which parallels the structure. So it's got all the earmarks of something very interesting, and it's the structure of the company is just being cleaned up, and it's well financed. So, and yeah, here's that structure right here associated. You can see that pit right there. This liniment right there, that fault is control. It seems to be controlling mineralization. So all things make sense. We've got Buddy and Bill Ferreira as the lead geos on it. So we've got some of the best in the world. Buddy's had a lot of experience. He was part of the team that found Lahire with Rio Tinto, and that's an epithermal, I believe, in Papua New Guinea, but it's 80 million ounces. So he's had a lot of experience in not only diamonds, but gold as well. So we're going to be pursuing this imminently. We've staked more ground, about 300% more ground than we had when we did the original deal. Because it's Bill Ferreira, we've had the opportunity to move quickly before we even had the deal signed. So we've flown drone mag over the last month, and that's being processed right now. We should have that in our hands very, very shortly. This is the IP anomaly that was done in 2009, 2010 by Cream Minerals. You can see right here all the sampling that's kicked from Bill samples and from the prospector samples and the pits. None of this is being drilled, and this is what Buddy is planning to drill. The resistivity, I think, maybe on the next slide. And the gray areas are the resistive areas, so they kind of they're very much coincidental with the IP, but offset by about 400 meters. So this is what we want to drill. Never been drilled before. A couple trenches are going to be, I think about 15 trenches are going to be put in here in the next 2 weeks, as soon as the deal is approved by the exchange, and we'll be drilling shortly thereafter. So everything's kind of permitting's all well underway. Like I said, there's no native issues here, so the permitting should be quite easy. We've got the best people working on it, and it's a cost-effective area. The infrastructure just lets us do so much more here for the money we have. And we are looking to put another property in. Buddy and I have been looking at another property in Canada for the last year and a half, and hopefully that will be in our possession in the next 2 months. So we'll have not just this opportunity, but we'll have another one coming, which Buddy likes a lot, and it'll be in a similar situation in Canada, which I think is important. And yeah, that'll be coming soon. So here is a picture of, this is the highway right here, the main highway, and this is where the truck is the logging road, which is the offshoot. And that, generally, you're looking at the property, it runs right through the middle of the property. So it's just got absolutely fantastic infrastructure. We've got a great team behind it. It's well financed. The company is well structured to go forth here. And there's a lot of smoke here. It just needs to be drilled, which it will be in the very next 8 weeks or so. So it's it's a simple, it's not a long presentation because it's kind of black and white, but it's a drill program coming very quickly. So any kind of questions so far?
Yeah, I have a question. I was wondering, so is drilling possible year-round then? Is that?
It's a year-round location. It's flat. There's no lakes here. It is. You have to deal with snow, obviously, in that area, but that's it. We can work 12 months. 12 months of the year, so it's not a problem at all. It's one of the reasons we selected this area is because we can. Again, Buddy and I come from Lac de Gras, which has super limited time frames out of the year you can work, and that's something we wanted to get away from.
The other property, is that also in Manitoba?
I don't want to say right now because we've been looking at it for a long time, and the reason we named this property the Cloud property is because we had to change the name because we were staking. Bill's quite adamant there's guys that were watching what we were doing, so we just don't want to talk about it. It's a likelihood that it is, so we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's going to be in a good jurisdiction. One of the key things we don't like to get involved with native issues a lot because it really makes it difficult to get your permitting, and we're super cognizant of that and with a lot of respect, but we have to look at our shareholders first, and that's I think we've done a really good job, and Buddy's done a fantastic job with Bill to get this property for us.
Might you do a 43-101 sometime?
The 43-101 has been done. It's with the exchange right now. We did that before we had the ground. So we can pass that along to you, not a problem. Just if you can give Zimtu your information, we can get you a copy of that.
You'll be posting it on CDAR probably when it's accepted.
Correct. Correct. When it gets to the exchange, it'll be on CDOT.
Okay.
So you can wait for it then, or you can get an early copy of it if you need.
But Dushan Burkay, a question on financing. Is company financed well enough for this drilling program?
Yeah, all our documents went in the exchange yesterday. We raised 1.25 million flow through. We raised, the exchange was very difficult because they tried to make this all part and parcel. So we ended up having to break up our 10-cent hard dollars into a portion of 10 cents and a portion of 12. I think 655 of one, 855 of the other. Anyways, all of this done. It was all oversubscribed.
Well, that's
And
good news. The company is
just waiting.
financed and you can drill. How many meters are you planning to drill? This company?
3,000.
Okay.
So yeah, all in place. All the financing's in place. We're just waiting for the okay from the exchange, which we would anticipate in the next couple of days.
Okay.
But the big thing for them is they're going over the 43-101. So.
Okay. Thanks.
No worries.
Pat Hendrick has a question. It's on the widths observed in the trenches.
Oh. What happened?
I don't know, it's just
Okay.
possible.
Sorry, can you say that again? We froze there for just a few seconds.
He wants to know what the widths observed in the trenches are.
Well, it's a vein system. It's pencil-like vein system, Buddy says. So you're getting what's, we have the biggest rock sample we have is 4 feet, and that returned multiple ounces. So that's the biggest rock sample we've had. A lot of them being grad samples. The prospector did all pits with the excavator. So it's a combination, and Bill took grab samples mostly, although he did take some rocks, chip samples as well. So it's a mixture of all 3 of those, and the widths, or the maximum width is 4 feet that we know of right now.
So Pat, what is the highest grade grab sample? Even though we know grab samples can be a little misleading, they're still kind of very cool. What's the best grab sample you've got off this property so far?
Well, we've got 2 over 4.5 ounces. So, you know, that's really good. You're right, they're misleading. Buddy wants to trench for that very reason. Like, he wants to do some trenching, but you know, there's a lot of smoke here. Most every sample kicked right across that 1.7 kilometers. So, you know, it's an exciting target with the potential of coming up with some really good, interesting results. And we're going to pursue it. We're going to do it as economically as possible and as quickly as possible.
So is there any drill holes on the property so far?
There's no drill holes into this 1.7 kilometer anomaly at all. There's drill holes all around by ESO, but they were pursuing something else. I think they're looking for VMS. So there's holes to the north, holes to the west, a few holes to the east, and holes to the south. But that entire anomaly has not been drilled ever. And that's where the gold is, which is a good correlation.
Which they wouldn't have been looking for gold at that time. Froze again.
Is there a mill somewhere in the neighborhood?
Just lost power here.
I think we've had a little bit of a technical glitch. Hopefully we'll get that resolved in the next few seconds. What was your question again, sir?
Yeah, hi, my name is Bob Raffel. I'm in Montreal, or in Quebec. I was wondering if there's a mill close by.
Sadly, I don't know the answer to that question. And well, here comes Pat. He'll answer it in person now.
Sorry, there's coffee in there. Hi, what was the question?
Is there a mill nearby?
Yeah, Buddy and Bill Ferreira would be the best 2 people to answer that question. I am not familiar with that answer, so we can get that answer to you. We'll just have to email Buddy. Buddy's in Timmins and he's on the property right now, so unfortunately he's not here at this discussion.
Stefan, do you want to introduce those questions?
Well, somebody was, oh, it's Helmut. He was asking who are the biggest investors in Lakewood?
Well, other than the board of directors, Zimtu is a very large one. And past that, we have out of that $2.75 million, we had 160 different subscribers. So we've got a lot of distribution in the company, which I think is a very big positive.
And
I think the real answer to that question is there's no super big scary shareholders in this deal, and that will bode very well as it trades into the future. It's got a good shareholder base with lots of small shareholders, which at the beginning life of any company is an extremely positive thing.
So how many shares and warrants does Zimtu own right now?
I think we own a million shares and 1 million warrants.
Out of 9.4 million, currently.
And the strike price for the warrants?
There's several, in the exchange's wisdom again. For the 10-cent hard dollars, it's a 2-year warrant at 20 cents. For the 12-cent hard dollars, there's a 3-year warrant at 16 cents. And for the flow through, which is at 10 cents, there's a half a warrant at 30 cents for 2 years.
Thank you.
So lots of those warrants are in the money already, which is a great thing for Lake Winn, because that will have a very positive effect on the bank account, or translate that into the ability to explore the property and prove it up. So that those warrants are an extremely positive thing.
So I got a question here, gentlemen. My name's Terry Hill. I'm from British Columbia, the heart of the Kootenays Mining Center here in Trail, British Columbia. So what do you figure the full cost will be to get up to production?
Well, it's a little earlier for that because we have to get, it's very shallow. We're looking at about 55 meters deep, so it's very superficial. Everything we're dealing with will be, it's just too early. We have to actually drill and come up with some numbers, because that's going to determine, all points of that discussion. So after this program, we'll have a much better idea. But it's going to be cheaper than most areas we've worked in the world, because you're in a mining camp. You've got, you have total infrastructure coming out of Flin Flon, which is 27 kilometers away. So whatever that number will be, it'll be a very reasonable number in the world of developing things. And it's probably very scalable as well. So that will come into it. But to talk about that number right now before we put the first drill down is probably not the best thing.
So even though that's a very relevant milestone to reach, there's plenty of milestones in between that potentially could have an extremely positive effect on the share price. And the next real opportunity is a discovery style drill hole, which we've seen in the last 3 to 6 months. We've seen companies do extremely well on what you would call a discovery drill hole. And I think that's the next real milestone. Certainly it's one that I'm looking forward to, and Zimtu's looking forward to that happening.
Just to let you know, all the drill holes will start in mineralization. So it's going to be a very interesting drill program, because we're drilling it. The outcrop is kicking gold for 1.7 kilometers. All the holes will be based on the outcropping gold results. So, and it lines up with the geology, it lines up with the resistivity, it lines up with the faulting, everything lines up. So we have to do it, but it's exciting, and it all starts in gold. So that's fairly exciting.
When Pat says that, typically, even though it's sticking out of the ground and you can see it with your 2 bare eyes, typically the geo will say, oh, no, 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 no. We don't drill right down the center of the thing. We step way back off to the side and drill at an angle because that'll give us more information, which being a non-geo, I find that very frustrating when the deposit is essentially sticking out of the ground. But nevertheless, if we get the assays on that first 5 or 6 drill holes, it'll be an exciting story. One that you'll be able to go to the coffee shop. Well, not really in COVID here, can't go anywhere, but it'll be one that you can tell your friends about. And when you're washing your new boat in the driveway, you'll be able to tell your neighbors, oh yeah, the market bought this for me. That's why it's called Winn Lake. No, Lake Winn. Something. The Winn is in there.
Yeah, but it's actually named after Lake Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That don't spoil my story.
Yeah.
Just have to be-
We've got a winner on our hands here.
At least it's not wind. That's good.
Patrick, Dushan Burkhardt again. What is your timing? The permitting is in place right now. You underway, that's correct?
Everything has been submitted to the government. We've talked to the official who makes the decision. He said there should be absolutely no problem. Like there's no native issues here, and that's a big thing. Keep on saying that over and over again, because Manitoba, if you're in the wrong place in Manitoba, it can become a very big issue. So we were looking to get our permits in the next 2 weeks, and we'll be out there trenching. Buddy wants to trench first physically with an excavator. He wants to go across the fault.
No, I can't help you.
The trenches he's going to put in there, but we've got the geophysics already done. We're waiting for the final mag to be processed, and we're ready to go. We've got a drill lined up from Flin Flon. We've got everything in place. Buddy has a second geologist out of Manitoba working with us.
So we could be drilling a month from now. We could be drilling middle of November, towards the end of November. The drills are turning.
Those will be turning within, we believe, 8 weeks. So yeah, it could be even a Christmas drill program.
That sounds good.
Excuse
So
me,
we will take more questions, but we'll just interrupt this question period to have the draw for the bull and get ready to move the camera. But James, I'd also like to introduce James. He's certainly part of the Winn Lake team. And coincidentally, it was his father that was the prospector that held this property for how long, James?
22 years. So he's had it for a while.
James, maybe you could just hold up the bull there and show people what they stood to win.
We're gonna win it.
There you go. Okay, so here's the camera.
I believe it's a violent scene of a bull tackling a bear.
It says on the little plaque, it says, of course, Zimtu, and then my favorite phrase, which is behind me as well, let the bull run. Oh boy, it's been a while since the bulls actually run, but I think it's coming. And certainly for gold, it may already be here. The winner that was selected by some high-tech random generator, computer-generated whatever, pulled out the name Mickey Rothschild. So we'll have the bull statue off to him shortly. And I think, do we still have online the winner from the last Zoom with Zimtu call?
Hendrik. Yeah.
Henrik, could you say something? Did you actually get your bull?
He's muted.
Where is he? I thought you said he was there.
Right here. He's muted though.
Unmuted.
Yes, I can ask
Oh,
him.
he has to. Yeah, it's up to him.
Anyway, Henrik, I hope you're enjoying your statue. Are you there now? You have to go to the bottom of your screen and click unmute. Okay, if anybody's got any other questions for either Pat or James, James grew up with the property, so there is a chance he might know something. Yes, that's James there smiling now. Yes, ma'am, he's smiling at you. Yes, the one that waved. Who are you?
May I ask a question of Pat?
Yes.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Pat. My name is Marina Kaplan, and I am an engineer. You seem to certainly be in a position to have a very good forecast for what's going to happen, not only with shares, but with some other stuff. I have a question. At this stage, what kind of a gold price you take into your consideration for any evaluation of the property?
Okay, that's a great question. It's one of those questions, again, it's too early until we get some drill holes in to understand our grade. So all that has to be kind of played out. What we do have going in our favor for any scenario and any grade is that we've got the infrastructure to keep the capital build cheap. So that's what I can say. Until I can plug numbers in from a real drill hole and I can have people give me a number that says, here's what you're dealing with, here's what you have to do. You can come up with a gold price that makes it viable, and anything above that level, obviously, would be quite viable.
So I can chime in here as well. He picked the property up when gold was trading between $400 and $800 an ounce, US, of course. So we're not sure what it's going to be, but that's when he picked the property up.
So I don't want to say things that aren't true, but you understand that we need to actually get some holes in this and come up with some numbers to present to the professionals who come back to us and say, here's what you're dealing with. Now we can structure something around that to build this, and here's what it's going to look like, and here's the gold price you're going to need to make it viable. But I would guess it's going to be less than most. It's just got too good an infrastructure. There's no metallurgical problems that we know of to get the gold out. Just a lot of positives. It's shallow. It's on road. It's near Flin Flon. It's just the right thing to have success. But we're not there, and it's impossible to, and it wouldn't be appropriate to plug a number in that I don't know. But I know it's going to be less than, it's not a hard situation. As I said, Buddy and I work for diamonds in Lac de Gras in the middle of nowhere. And then those considerations are huge. You have to have huge success to be able to produce something. This is not one of them. It's probably on the other end of the scale, but too early to start pointing numbers and saying this is what it's going to be, because that's like irresponsible.
Well, we use quite a bit of database that we developed in the company, and we love working with company from the beginning. So I hope we will talk again.
Yeah, that would be excellent. Thanks for the question. It was a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. Would you say that Manitoba is friendly to mining?
Well, in its history, yes. Recently?
No, the government now.
The government,
the situation's changed a lot over the last couple of years. It was not like 5 years ago. And they've really started changing their tune because the province is in a lot of trouble at the moment. They have been changing for the positive side for mining as of late.
Dave and I and Bill in Western Potash, we spent almost $20 million there in 2008-9. And, the government was okay. It transitioned when we were doing that. So we had a different government at the start of the drill program as we did at the end of the program. Overall, this area has done very, very well. I think the government's okay. I think it could get better. But, we're in a mining camp. It's the right place to be in Manitoba. There's very little, mining is known, it's being dealt with, it's being permitted, it's been this, that, and the other thing. So that was one of the considerations. I wouldn't have gone to every part of Manitoba. Other parts I would stay away from.
So one of the contacts that we're working with, very long acquaintance with my dad there. They've done a lot of work. He's a local geo that we've hired, Kerry Galschuk. He knows the guys who do the permitting. To answer your question, he's already spoken to them, and he's saying it's not going to be an issue coming up here, and we should have it very shortly. The permits have been in queue for about 2 weeks now, so we should be getting it back very shortly here.
I think one of the key things about jurisdiction isn't necessarily the whole province. The key thing about a friendly jurisdiction is the local community and having the local community support. And clearly, there's a history in this area of mining. There's a history of mining support. In those historic mining areas, there is often tremendous support for the stock as well. And I think that is somewhat significant. It's the old people want to support what's in their backyard. I know that they're getting lots of support out of that local community, and I think that will continue.
I hope that answers your question. Any other questions?
Yes, is there any silver mixed in with the gold? And I imagine with the gold, you're saying that there's lots of quartz there that's obviously being displaying the gold. But is there silver connected with that also, please?
There's a bit of silver, but not much. It's mostly just flat out gold. There's a lot of visible gold in this. A lot of those pits and bill samples reported visible gold. So silver is insignificant. It would be a kicker, but not a big one. It's a gold prospect, and it's nothing but gold.
But the visual gold samples would be dynamite if it wasn't for this darn COVID. We would love to have those samples in the trade show booth in Toronto and Munich, because they're very pretty, and not that necessarily means anything, but on the other hand, pretty rock is a pretty rock, and it's certainly not a negative.
We'll have, I'm sure in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have some great trenching, rock chip samples that we can bring and show people. Showing it's very altered rock. It looks very juicy, and all along the 1.7 Ks where it outcrops, it looks juicy. That's one of the first things Bill said. It looks juicy, and the results kind of prove that, but it's very altered.
Any other questions? I do have some closing comments, and certainly we're very pleased to have everybody attend this Zoom call, whether it was on Zoom or on Twitter or Facebook or some other service. What else do we use?
LinkedIn?
No, not LinkedIn.
Oh, not LinkedIn.
Anyway, it's on another platform as well. And there will be a recording of this presentation that will be distributed by Zimtu. It'll be on the Zimtu website. It'll be on Zimtu's YouTube site. It'll be distributed through the company as well. And often that is of considerable value to both Zimtu and the company, in that we tend to get a fairly large following that listens to the recording. The other thing is we will be holding a Zimtu call in the next week or two, which will be called Question Period. And we'll have representatives from all the companies that we've done Zoom with Zimtu calls with, will be in attendance and prepared to answer questions on their company. The Zimtu staff would be happy to answer questions on any other company, whether we're part of it or not, to the best of our ability. And when you get that invite, if you have a question on another company, it would be best to send us an email so that we can do some research on your behalf and give you some sort of opinion. And we'll give you a geological opinion or a business decision if it's one of our companies like Zinc 8, which is more of a technical thing. But that question period will be a chance for you to address questions to any of our companies, or as I said, any company on the TSX Venture or the CSE, we would be happy to comment on. Me personally, I have a tendency to value the management more than the geology or the technical aspect of some business opportunity, because I believe if you have the right people leading the company and the wrong project, you're still okay because they will find the right project. And that's very clear with Lake Winn, in that between Buddy Doyle, who has the geological experience, global geological experience, and Pat Power's contacts, and of course Zimtu's contacts, we have tremendous deal flow, and we can always help rectify that. But I'm very confident in this property. There's a reason that Bill Ferreira held on to it for so long, and to hold on to a property like that isn't cheap. So Bill would have been investing all the way along to make sure that he maintained control of the property until he found the right buyer. Certainly that was partly due to Bill's experience with both Pat and Buddy Doyle, and maybe even myself. And it's no coincidence that his son is part of the team. And I think that's one of the reasons they were able to acquire this property under reasonable terms. And those terms are to your advantage. Your next responsibility is to continue to track this company and its progress, and to support the stock by buying more, and more. Anyways, I think we do have was there a question that came in German?
Well, he was just saying that the website looks great, and in the future he would recommend that you also list your holdings on a monthly basis with the actual numbers.
Oh, I wonder who that was.
That was Helmut from Germany.
Yeah. Helmut is a supporter of Zimtu, but he certainly gets his opinion out to us from time to time. Which we actually appreciate, Helmut. Can you tell him that, Stefan?
Yes, Helmut, hier really, der findet es wirklich gut, dass du hier die Zimtu auch so verfolgst und alles klar.
I know what klar means.
I was trying to put up his website because he actually has a website in Germany which follows, which is on Zimtu. I believe it's called CKCO. And yeah, that's dedicated to Zimtu in Germany, to the German shareholders.
Can I make a comment?
Certainly.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I like the structure of the company. That's why I was attracted to it. Anybody cuts something back, 1 for 10's got balls.
For a while, until you lose them.
Now you have only 9 million 4, I believe, right? You shouldn't do any more financing unless you get to 50 cents. You don't want to spoil the company. You can do it very easily.
We had to make that move to get it back to where it was, because I believe structure and geology are kind of a mix these days. You have to have the structure to move forward your project. And it took us a long time to roll it back. I mean, we've had that coming for years, but we didn't have the project we wanted to do that for. So you have to have the right project and then the financing lined up to make it all happen. So they all fell into place, and we've done that, and we're gonna move forward from here. We're gonna have a lot of work done shortly here. It's gonna be fun.
Well, we're starting from zero here, which is the most important thing.
Right.
And between here and 50 cents, there are a number of warrants out that'll be in the money, and it will provide additional capital for the company to do the exploration work that it'll get it to that price. So I'm quite confident that they'll only raise money when they need to. But when you need to raise money, it's more important to have the money in the bank than to worry about dilution. Because if you don't have the money in the bank, you got nothing.
One more comment. If you look at Great Bear, there's only 50 million shares out, and they got about $50 million in the till because it was structured properly right from the very beginning. And
we totally understand. We're going to try to get that next financing whenever it does happen at the right price.
right, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Get back.
Thank you.
All right, everybody saw Helmut's German website flash by. We will include that in a follow-up email that we'll send everybody with recorded view, which we would hope you've enjoyed the show today. And when you get that recording, we would certainly hope that you send that off to your friends, loved ones, and of course your mother, because your mother is probably the most important person for you to send it to. Anyway, anything else, folks? Thanks for coming. Remember, my name's Dave Hodge. Don't forget it.